Hare Krishna, Prabhus. Mataji's. Hare Krishna. Sorry for the delay. There was some power issue here. My voice is audible, I hope.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Mataji's. Sorry for the delay. There was some power issue here. My one. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। व्याप्तिर्यस्य निजे निजेन मनसा पक्षे सपक्षे स्थिति व्यावृत्तिश्च विपक्षतोत्त विषये शक्तिर्न वै बाध्यते। नैवास्ति प्रतिपक्ष युक्तिरतुलं शुद्धं प्रमाणं समे भूयात् तत्व विनिर्णयाय भगवान आनंद तीर्थो मुनो। श्रीमद् आनंद तीर्थार्य सन्मनस्सरसि भुवि अनुव्याख्यान नलिने चंचरी गति में मनः। सनातनं रूपम इहोपदर्शयन् आनंद सिंधु परितः प्रवर्धयन् अंतत्तमस्तोम हरस्सराजतां चैतन्य रूपो विदुरद्भुतोदय। Hare Krishna, welcome you all for the second session of Vedānta Syamantaka. Please give me a moment. I am trying to share the Mangala Shloka. So, this is the Mangalacharana Shloka. Can you all try to repeat this? Sanatanam Rupam Ihopadarsayan Ananda Sindhum Paritaha Pravardhayan Antastamah Stomaharaha Rajatam Chaitanya Rupo Viduradbhutodayaha. Sanatanam Rupam Ihopadarsayan Ananda Sindhum Paritah Pravardhayan Antastama Harassa Rajatam Chaitanya Rupo Viduradbhutodayaha. So, this is the Mangalacharana given by the author Radha Damodar Goswami. Mangalacharana is generally given at the beginning of every text. It is a Vaidika Shishtachara Sampradaya. It is a tradition in Vedic culture that the author does Mangalacharana at the beginning. The purpose of Mangalacharana is mainly to destroy obstacles, because whenever we take up any task, there will be many obstacles, and it has been uh, uh, known by authors in the past that while writing a book, especially when it comes to uh, uh, spiritual knowledge and all, definitely there will be obstacles, and in order to overcome these obstacles, a good Mangalacharana should be there. It is also mentioned that the greater the obstacles the author anticipates, stronger will be the Mangalacharana. It is the duty of every author to follow this. Even great personalities like Sripad Ramanujacharya, Sripad Madhvacharya followed this. Now they are very strong personalities. Madhvacharya is considered an incarnation of Hanuman, and Ramanujacharya is an incarnation of Shesha. Such strong personalities, one can expect what obstacles can they have. Definitely, they would not have obstacles, but still, as a matter of Shishtachara, because people will follow their precedents, so they also dutifully perform the task of giving Mangalacharana. Mangalacharana is basically a prayer to the deities, Ishta Devata and Vishishta Devata. Every author has a Ishta Devata and a Vishishta Devata who is particularly described in the book. So that deity they worship, and that is the process. That deity they pray to kindly remove the obstacles, and that is Mangalacharana. Here, Radha Damodar Goswami prays to Lord Sri Krishna as a Ishta Devata and also the Vishishta Devata who is going to be described here. In the gloss, in the commentary, Baldev Vidyabhushan says that the same shloka can also refer to a prayer to Lord Chaitanya. So that Lord Chaitanya is also an Ishta Devata of Radha Damodar Goswami. That way, he is not, there is no obstacle in the Sankalpa at the beginning. So, there are various attributes of Krishna that are described in this Mangalacharana shloka. Krishna is described as Chaitanya Rupa. He is also described as Adbhuta, and he is described as Vidhu Udayaha. The moon rises. The face of the Supreme Lord is compared to moon. So that Supreme Lord's face as a moon is rising. That is what is described here. Every Mangalacharana, now before coming to that, this Mangalacharana itself, there can be people who will be raising questions that no, we have seen books where the author doesn't give a Mangalacharana. Still his work gets completed. How? So these type of objections are generally given from the atheistic class of people. So one thing we should understand is that it's not possible to finish the work without Mangalacharana. Either the author would have at least mentally prayed, kindly take out the obstacles while writing the book, or at least in his previous life he would have prayed, and that the sukruti that he has got from his previous life is making him successfully finish the book and ensure that there are no obstacles in it. So even in those circumstances, it is quite important that Mangalacharana has to be followed at the beginning. Mangalacharana basically addresses 4 things. The 4 points that every Mangalacharana addresses is Vishaya, Adhikari, Prayojana and Sambandha. And these are called, anybody knows what are these called?
Vishaya, the subject matter. Adhikari is one who is qualified to read the book.
Yes.
Then is the relationship, and Prayojana is what result he will get by reading the book.
And all these 4 together are called by using word. 2 words you can say. They are addressed as 2 words. So they are called Sadhana Chatushtaya. So every book at every Mangalacharana should include Sadhana Chatushtaya. It should include what is the Vishaya, what is the topic to be discussed here. Then Adhikari, who are going to be the candidates who are going to study this book. That is the second thing. Prayojana, what is the benefit I am going to get by reading the book? Because when you study any book, you are supposed to give time. And only a sane person will give time when there is some benefit for him. Otherwise, he will not spend much time in things which are of no benefit. So, what is the prayojana that is to be included in the Mangalacharana? Vishaya, Adhikari, Prayojana, and Sambandha. Sambandha means I am going to read the book. What is this book related with me? What is the connection between us and the book? So that Sambandha also has to be told. So here also the author in the Mangalacharana has discussed Sadhana Chatushtaya, which we will be describing now. Vishaya. Vishaya, now there are two translations of this book, two translations of the Mangalacharana, which I will be reading. First translation is exhibiting his eternal form in this world and increasing the ocean of bliss in all directions. The moon-like Lord Krishna, whose form is pure consciousness and whose appearance is wonderful, removes the darkness accumulated within the heart. May he shine forth. That is the first interpretation. That is the original interpretation. Now, yesterday we discussed that Baldev Vidyabhushan has given a gloss to the original book. He has given some comments. So, one among those comments will actually give the second interpretation. And the second interpretation is instructing Rupa and Sanatana and propagating in all directions the ocean of knowledge received from Madhvacharya, the moon-like Lord Chaitanya, whose appearance is wonderful, removes the darkness accumulated within the heart. May he shine forth. So this is the second interpretation that is derived from this. So in both these interpretations, there is a need to study what are the sadhana chatushtayas. So just a minute, please be on it. So when the first interpretation is concerned, the Vishaya is Sanatanam Rupam Ihopadarshayam. So the darshan of the eternal form of the Lord, to know the eternal form of the Lord and one day eventually have darshan of him, that is the Vishaya that is discussed. How to know the eternal form of the Lord, that is the Vishaya that is discussed. Then Adhikari. Who is Adhikari? So the word that is mentioned here is Andastama Sthomahara. So whoever is in Andatamaha, Andatama Yukta means who are in the material existence, who are stuck in material existence, they are the people who are candidates for studying this book. And the second one is Ananda Sindhu. This book gives us an ocean of bliss. So the candidates who want that Ananda, the candidates who desire for Ananda, they are also Adhikari for this book. So the people, two types of people are Adhikari. One who are stuck in material existence, and second who want pleasure and are searching for it. So they are Adhikaris of it. So the understanding here is that without spiritual knowledge, without the knowledge of Vedanta, it's not possible to have Ananda. So that is the point that is conveyed through this Adhikari. And what is Prayojana? Anda tamas tomaharaha. So by reading this book, we will be able to get out of our ignorance. We will be able to get out of our conditioned state and come to the liberated state where there is Ananda, where there is eternal happiness. So that is the Prayojana got from this book. And what is a Sambandha? Sambandha, here it is mentioned about Krishna. So Krishna and his devotees, the relationship of Krishna and his devotees is described here. Bhakta Bhagavat Sambandha. And Andattama Stomahara also indicates the relationship of Uddhara and Uddharaka. Means Uddharya and Uddharaka. We are Uddharya. We need to be delivered. We are wanting to be delivered, and sometimes we may not want also, but still we are the people who need the medicine of deliverance. And Uddharaka is the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is the Sambandha that is derived from this. Now with the second interpretation, the Sadhana Chatushtaya becomes slightly different. Vishaya remains the same. Sanatanam Rupam Ihopadarshayam. So the Vishaya is the message taught by Madhvacharya to Rupa and Sanatana. I mean, in the Parampara, from Madhvacharya, the message that has come through Rupas and Sanatana. Ananda Sindhu is described as Ananda Tirtha. So from him, the message has come to Rupa and Sanatana. So that is the Vishaya. Adhikari, who Adhikari are the same, Andatama Yukta, those who are absorbed in material life, they are the Adhikari. And Prayojana is Andatama Stomaharaha. It will deliver us from the material darkness of material existence and give us the light of liberation. And what is the Sambandha? Chaitanya and his bhaktas, Bhakta Bhagavad Sambandha, the Lord Chaitanya and his devotees, that is one Sambandha. Similarly, Uddharya Uddharaka Sambandha, we are going to be delivered and Supreme Lord will deliver us. That is the another Sambandha that is there. Now there is a third Sambandha with this interpretation. The third Sambandha is Madhvacharya and the Shishyas in the Parampara. So the Parampara Acharya and his disciples, that is another Sambandha that is also established by the gloss of Baldev Vidyabhushana. So these are the things that are a part of this sadhana chatushtaya of the Mangalacharana. Okay. So any doubts in this Mangalacharana, you can ask. Then we can go further.
In the first interpretation, what is the Prayojana and Sambandha project?
Yes. So in the first, the Prayojana in both places is same. Anda tamaha stomahara, to deliver us from the darkness of material existence. That is the Prayojana in both the cases. Sambandha in the first case is between Krishna and devotees. Bhakta Bhagavat Sambandha. And Uddharya Uddharaka Sambandha, deliverer and the delivered relationship. That is the another Sambandha. These are the two Sambandhas that can be derived from the first interpretation. In the second interpretation, instead of Krishna, it is Chaitanya. Chaitanya and devotees, it is Bhakta Bhagavad Sambandha, same. Uddharya Uddharaka Sambandha is also same. There is also third one between the Parampara Acharya, Madhvacharya and his Shishyas. That is the third Sambandha that is also established. Any other questions in this regard?
Is this interpretation by Baladev Vidyabhushana?
No, Baldev Vidyabhushan has just given the gloss. He has just given this second, he has given a hint for second interpretation that Ananda Sindhu refers to Madhvacharya and Rupa Sanatana is in the Parampara. He has just given one line of hint, that's all. And Baldev Prabhu has translated this based on that hint.
So the interpretation is given by Baldev Prabhu?
Yes, yes. Based on the hint given by Baldev Vidyabhushan, Baldev Prabhu has translated it. The sadhana chatushtaya, I have derived it.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, in the second interpretation, what is the Vishaya Prabhu?
Vishaya is message of Madhvacharya taught in Parampara to Rupa and Sanatana. Okay, so if this is clear, we can go ahead. Importance of Mangalacharana also everyone is clear, and why even great personalities also follow the system of Mangalacharana. That also I hope is clear. Okay, now yesterday anything else is there? Yesterday we discussed a little bit about the title Vedānta Syamantaka, where we discussed what Syamantaka is, and we gave some hints about what Vedanta is, but that will be discussed little now as to what Vedanta is and how much our parampara needs Vedanta, because there are various thoughts in this regard. One thought is that this ours is a parampara of bhakti, pure devotion to Krishna. And the ultimate goal is to develop loving relationship with Krishna. So do we really need so much of logic and philosophy and proving this and proving that? Do we really need that when our parampara of bhakti, we can directly achieve everything just by devotional service to Krishna? Bhakti is independent, right? There is no binding for bhakti. There is nothing additionally needed for bhakti. So why don't we just do bhakti to Krishna? Do we really require so many things? So we'll discuss that also ahead. So the Shankaracharya school of interpretation is that Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramana. It is given in a book called Vedānta Sara. So Vedagaru, what is his name? Forgot his name. So there is a book called Vedānta Sara in which this definition is given. Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramana. So Upanishads are Vedanta because they speak of Brahma Vidya. However, that is not agreed by the Vaishnava schools because the uh, the Shankara school creates a very fanatic approach towards Brahma Vidya, that Brahma Vidya has to be got through Vedanta, and that is through Upanishads. And to study Upanishads, one must be in sannyasa ashram. So the only way of liberation is through Brahma Vidya. So the only candidates for liberation are sannyasis, according to them. So he is quite heavy on this matter. If you see the writings of Sripad Shankaracharya everywhere, he is very heavy on this matter, that unless you develop renunciation, unless you are a sannyasi, there is no question of liberation from this material world. So the Vaishnava Acharyas disagree with this. They present a more practical viewpoint based on what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Yavan artha udapane sarvatav samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. Which chapter it is?
Second chapter, I believe.
Yes, it is in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The purposes that are served by small bodies of water are also all fulfilled by a big reservoir of water or ocean. Initially, we may not understand how this is, because from the well we can drink the water, but whereas from the ocean we cannot drink the water. So how does it serve the purpose? So what you should understand is that it is not about drinking that is spoken of here by Krishna. When you take bath in any reservoir of water like well or lake or river, there is some good amount of punya that comes up with it. There is some good amount of purification that's happening. Traditionally, people would take bath in these open sources only, and bath was not just a bath. They would enter the water and they would do their Sandhya Vandana, they would chant their Gayatri. So the whole procedure was there, and it was a purifying thing. So now you may do it in a well, you may do it in a lake, you may do it in a river, but these things may dry up also sometimes. But with the ocean, that problem is not there. Anytime you take bath in ocean, it is purifying for you. So that is the understanding that we should derive from this. Similarly, the person who knows the purpose of the Vedas, it means that he has understood the Vedas properly. So the purpose of Vedas is Vedanta philosophy, to understand how we are going to get out of this world. We are conditioned here, we are stuck in this material existence. We should plan to come out of this. That is why the first Brahma Sutra is Athato Brahma Jignasa. Om Athato Brahma Jignasa Om. So Omkara is used to protect the Brahma Sutra. So this first Brahma Sutra actually creates a sense of urgency. Now that we have got a human life, now that we have studied Vedas, now we have got proper education, at least now let us immediately start inquiring about what is the goal of life, how to go back to Godhead, how to perfect our life. So that is the inquiry that we have to do. So this is the first beginning. So that happens when we know the actual purpose of Vedas, that is spiritual realization. So yesterday we discussed that Mundaka Upanishad talks about what is Brahma Vidya and what is Avidya. Everything, all the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, everything is Avidya if it doesn't deal with perfection of human life. Whereas whatever deals with perfection of human life, Brahma Vidya, that is the only Vidya. That is the only actual knowledge. That is why when you say Vidyarthi, in Indian language, Vidyarthi, any school going student is called Vidyarthi. But the real Vidyarthi is one who studies Vedic knowledge or who studies Brahma Vidya. He is the real Vidyarthi. Everyone else is Avidyarthi, actually speaking. So this book is a crest jewel of Vedanta. Yesterday we discussed. It's a Syamantaka of Vedanta. Vedantasya Syamantaka. Means the Vedanta is very huge. We cannot have all the gold of Vedanta immediately, but Syamantaka gives us small regular doses, whatever are required to understand the whole thing. So that is why it is the title itself is very attractive. Vedanta is ultimate knowledge. And what is the ultimate knowledge? Ultimate knowledge is Krishna. This is what Srila Prabhupada said in the introduction. Vedanta means ultimate knowledge, and the ultimate knowledge is Krishna. This is what Prabhupada said in the introduction of Ishopanishad. It is also said, Rigvedota Yajurveda Samvedo Atharvaneshu Adheta Stena Yenokta Harir Ityakshara Dvayam. One who just chants the two syllables Hari has already studied the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samveda, and Atharvana Veda. This is what is mentioned in the Shastras. So, Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 7, shloka, verse number 22, Prabhupada quotes this and he further says, taking advantage of these verses, there are some Sahajiyas who, taking everything very cheaply, consider themselves elevated Vaishnavas, but do not care to touch the Vedanta Sutra or Vedanta philosophy. A real Vaishnava should, however, study Vedanta philosophy. But if after studying Vedanta, one does not adopt to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he is no more better than a Mayavadi. Therefore, one should not be a Mayavadi. Yet, one should not be unaware of the subject matter of Vedanta philosophy. Indeed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his knowledge of Vedanta in his discourses with Prakashananda Saraswati. Thus, it is to be understood that a Vaishnava should be completely conversant with Vedanta philosophy, but should not think that studying Vedanta is all in all, and therefore be unattached to the chanting of the holy name. A devotee must know the importance of simultaneously understanding Vedanta philosophy and chanting the holy names. If by studying Vedanta one becomes an impersonalist, he has not been able to understand Vedanta philosophy. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Vedanta means end of knowledge. The ultimate end of knowledge is the knowledge of Krishna, who is identical with the holy name. Cheap Vaishnavas, Sahajiyas, do not care to study the Vedanta philosophy as commented upon by the four Acharyas. In the Gaudiya Sampradaya, there is a Vedanta commentary called Govinda Bhashya, but the Sahajiyas consider such commentaries to be untouchable philosophical speculation, and they consider the Acharyas to be mixed devotees. Thus, they clear their way to hell. So, the arguments that we are in on the platform of pure devotional service, we are devotees, we have love for Krishna, so we should not waste our time in Vedanta. Prabhupada is quite critical about these arguments. What Prabhupada is saying is that such arguments open our doorway to hell. So he is quite heavy on that. Why is it so? Because Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatri ki vidhi vina ekantiki harer bhakti utpataiva kalpate. Why it is happening that generation after generation there are Sahajiyas who are coming up? Because they are not basing their philosophy on Shruti, Smriti, Purana and Pancharatra. These authentic texts, they are not basing their philosophy on. That is where actually the problem is happening. And Prabhupada here is quite heavy. He says that those who don't study Vedanta philosophy are Sahajiyas. Actually, Prabhupada is addressing two problems here. One problem is that of Sahajiyas and another problem is that of Mayavadis. See, there is a sect of people who claim to be Gaudiya Vaishnavas but are quite critical of Baldev Vidyabhushan. Why they are quite critical of Baldev Vidyabhushan? Because he has written extensively on Vedanta philosophy and he has also given commentary on Brahma Sutras, Govinda Bhashya, everything. So what they say is that our parampara is Rasa Parampara. Our parampara is the parampara of pure love towards Radha Krishna. We are all aiming to go to Goloka Vrindavan, and where the worship of Radha Krishna is on the platform of pure devotion, unmixed, no karma, no jnana, jnana karmadi anavratam. So because we are on this pure platform, we should not waste our time in breaking our head on logic and knowledge and all these things. So they also accuse Baldev Vidyabhushan of bringing his Madhva Sampradaya contaminations of Vedanta into the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So these are very offensive statements against such a great Acharya, that just because we are lazy in the matters of Siddhanta, Siddhanta se vishaya na kare alash, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly says. But because we are lazy in the matters of Siddhanta, so we give some reason to avoid Siddhanta. And what reason we give? We are devotees. We are on the pure platform. We don't need to waste time in studying this. Prabhupada condemns such thoughts as Sahajiya thoughts. And he says that a genuine Vaishnava seriously studies the Vedanta philosophy. And after studying Vedanta philosophy, what happens? That is another problem Prabhupada has addressed. So, initially it was thought, because Shankaracharya was the pioneer in giving Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Before that, Bhagavatam was considered the natural Bhashya on Brahma Sutras. But then Shankaracharya covered the whole thing up by giving an artificial commentary. So, it became so popular that Sharirika Bhashya, actually the Brahma Sutras are also called as Sharirika Sutras or Sharirika Mimamsa. Sharirika Sutra, Sharirika Mimamsa, these are the terms associated with Brahma Sutra. Now, when Shankaracharya wrote this, the Bhashya was called Sharirika Bhashya. And today, Sharirika Bhashya is something negatively spoken of in the Vaishnava circles. Definitely, the Bhashya is contaminating because it doesn't give a clear understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it is like Smarta Brahmana or Karma Kandi. These are some taglines that are famous. What is Karma Kanda? What is Ayodhya Kanda? What is Ayodhya Kanda? Or what is Kishkinda Kanda?
It's a part of Ramayana.
Yeah, there are some chapters of Ramayana. Kanda is a Adhyaya. So
It's called
similarly,
Khanda. It's like Khanda, part.
Karma Kanda is the karma part of the Vedas. Means, okay, Vedas have philosophy, but what to do with the philosophy? How to practically apply that philosophy? So that karma part of the Vedas is Karma Kanda. But it was taken to such a great extreme that people thought that this is all in all and philosophy is nothing. So then such people were started to be called as Karma Kandi. So that Karma Kanda word is in our Gaudiya circles, people are afraid of Karma Kanda. Because the understanding, definitely, the understanding is that Tetu Bhuktva Sargalokam Vishadam, Kshine Punya Martelokam Vishanti. Whatever we benefit we get from Karma Kanda rituals, they are all going to be finished here only. So what is the use? So it is the tag has received a negative status. So similarly, Smarta. Smarta means anybody who studies Smriti Shastra is a Smarta. He may be a Vaishnava, he may be a Shakta, he may be a Shaiva. Who studies Smriti Shastras is Smarta. Whereas today, a Vaishnava is considered a Smarta. That is the understanding that has come out. Similarly, Sharirika Bhashya, anybody who writes Bhashya, our Govinda Bhashya is also Sharirika Bhashya, because it is the Bhashya on Sharirika Mimamsa or the Brahma Sutras. But the Sharirika Bhashya itself, Shankaracharya's Bhashya's name itself became so popular as Sharirika Bhashya. So practically everyone thought that Brahma Sutra means Shankaracharya is the only Pramana. And this problem Prabhupada is addressing here when he is saying that it is not that Shankaracharya is the only interpreter. There are Vaishnava Acharyas also who have given the Vaishnava understanding of Brahma Sutras. And if by studying Brahma Sutra, if a person becomes Mayavadi, then it's a waste. It is the whole endeavor to study Brahma Sutras is wasted. Whereas, if by studying this, if you become a devotee, yes, it is possible. We can become serious devotees by studying Brahma Sutras, and by becoming serious devotees, we can be more dedicated to chanting Hare Krishna, the pure holy name. Why? Because the understanding of Supreme Lord becomes very clear. Today we discussed in the Mangala Padya that the purpose of this book is to understand Supreme Lord and to perfect our human life. So by studying Vedanta philosophy, we understand the Supreme Lord better. And when you get better understanding of Supreme Lord, is not our chanting going to be improved better than what it was previously? The purpose of chanting Hare Krishna is to remember the Nam, Guna, Rupa, Leela, Parshad, all the things of the Supreme Lord. So if we get more knowledge of the Supreme Lord, then are we not meditating on him better? And when we meditate on him better, are we not chanting better? So that is exactly what Prabhupada says, that definitely there will be an improvement in chanting. So the real Vaishnava is one who definitely studies Vedanta philosophy, but with that his chanting will improve. He'll be able to chant Hare Krishna better. That is why Mahaprabhu was not shy. When he went to Varanasi, he was chanting Hare Krishna. No doubt about that. And the Mayavadi sannyasis expressed concern that he is chanting Hare Krishna, why he should study Vedanta philosophy. Similarly, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also expressed concern that he is a young sannyasi, he may fall down unless he studies Vedanta philosophy. So the concept is not wrong that definitely Vedanta has to be studied, and especially when you take sannyasa, primarily Vedanta is the only thing that has to be studied. The Laukika, material things you should stop studying, and only the perfection of human life is the primary study for a sannyasi. He should not worry about how his maintenance will happen. So that point was right, but what they did not understand is Mahaprabhu is Vedanta Krit. Vedanta Krit Veda Videha Chaham, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter. So he is the maker of Vedanta, he is the giver of Vedanta in the form of Vyasa. So definitely he knows the philosophy, and whenever there was opportunity to present the philosophy, he did present, and he preached to Prakashanand Saraswati and his followers the real Vedanta philosophy. So he definitely did that. That is where Prabhupada says that even our Sampradaya also has a Vedanta Bhashya called Govinda Bhashya. Yesterday we discussed how Govinda Bhashya came into existence. So even our Sampradaya also has this, and definitely it must be studied. That's what Prabhupada recommends. So because the whole Vedanta Brahma Sutras are so difficult to understand, and Vedavyasa understood, okay, these are difficult to understand, and people will not be able to grasp the meaning of it. And that is why he wrote a natural commentary on the Brahma Sutras called Srimad Bhagavatam. So any study of these commentaries should actually enrich our understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like in the Shankara Sampradaya, Sharirika Bhashya was there. In the Shri Sampradaya, Shri Bhashya was written by Ramanujacharya. In the Madhva Sampradaya, Madhvacharya wrote Anuvyakyanam, but Anuvyakyanam was too complex, and that is why Jaitirtha Muni wrote Nyayasudha. And even Nyayasudha also required an elaboration. So Raghavendra Tirtha wrote Nyayasudha Parimala. So that way they made it simpler, and with the understanding of subsequent commentaries, the previous commentaries, knowledge got enriched. So the original commentary is Srimad Bhagavatam. So the more we study these things, our understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam improves. Prabhupada criticized here that there are so many people who, without understanding the Vedanta philosophy, without reading the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, which is Bhagavatam, are posing themselves as Vedantists. Mayavadis are like that. They don't touch Srimad Bhagavatam because it gives a clear understanding of the personality of Godhead, which they don't want to present. That is why they don't study the Bhagavatam. But they are posing themselves as Vedantists. And such people, they are misguiding the people in the field of Vedanta, in the field of philosophy. So they are bluffers, Prabhupada says. They are not Vedantists. They do not know anything of Vedanta. That is the difficulty. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 17.96 purport, Prabhupada says, Actually, Vedanta philosophy is meant for devotees because in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Lord Krishna says, Vedanta Krit Veda Videhacham. I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of Vedas. Vyasadeva is an incarnation of Krishna and consequently Krishna is the compiler of Vedanta philosophy. Therefore, Krishna clearly knows the purport of Vedanta philosophy. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, whoever hears Vedanta philosophy from Krishna is actually aware of the real meaning of Vedanta. The Mayavadis call themselves Vedantists, but do not at all understand the purport of Vedanta philosophy, nor being properly educated. People in general think that Vedanta means Sharirika interpretation. So this is what Srila Prabhupada says. Further in Narada Bhakti Sutras 2.29, Prabhupada says, the spiritual harmony of knowledge and devotion is well expressed in the phrase Bhakti Vedanta. Some observers think of Bhakti and Jnana as separate or in opposition to each other. The Advaitins claim a monopoly over Jnana through the study of Vedanta Sutra according to the commentary of Sharirika. But Vedantic study is not the opposition to Bhakti Yoga. Now, which shloka of Bhagavad Gita hints to this? Can somebody recollect? The Jnana and Bhakti are not different.
So it says in the 4th chapter, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam yavam yavati tatvatah tektva deham punarjanma naiti sorjano vitaraga bhaya krodha manmayama upashitaha bhagavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagataha.
Yes, correct. So Bhagavo Jnana Tapasa Puta, what was it?
Bhavamagataha.
Bhavamagataha. So many people have realized through knowledge the Supreme Lord. And there is one more in the 5th chapter which explicitly states that Sankhya Yoga Pratak Bhala na prapadyati panditaha. Small children actually discriminate between Sankhya and Yoga, the process of knowledge and the process of devotional service. Whereas Panditas don't discriminate. They understand that it's just both of them are the same thing that are being spoken of here. So that is why we should understand that one should not be misguided by the extremes of philosophy. Without getting into the right Vaishnava philosophy, we are sticking to some extremism. One extremism I explained of Shankaracharya, wherein you have to be a sannyasi and you have to renounce everything. That is the only option for you to go back to Godhead. Whereas the Vaishnava philosophy says, Amala Bhaktis Chatat Sadhanam, pure devotional service is the only way to go back to Godhead. And that can be done by a sannyasi, vanaprastha, a grahastha, a brahmachari, a woman, a child. Anyone can do pure devotional service and everyone is eligible to go back to God. So by not accepting this, we are accepting some form of extremism here. The other extremism is core materialism. The materialistic idea that no, perfection can be attained only through the study of Vedas and going to Swargaloka, performing our Nitya Karma. That is another extremism. And the third extremism of Sahajiyas is that all this logic and knowledge and Shastra study, it's a wastage of time. Just love Krishna. And by loving Krishna, we are the... So, unless we resort to the right philosophy of Krishna, the giver of Vedanta, we are taking shelter of some or the other forms of extremism. And these extremisms are actually holding us strongly to this material world. The expectation is that a disciple should be open to hear from the Lord, from the Shastras and from the spiritual master. And that openness is exhibited in his ability to learn. Okay, this is something new that is being learned and we should be willing to take it up. That is what Lord wants. Whereas by not accepting this actual purport of Vedanta philosophy, we get stuck into extremism and that way our perfection is hampered. So this book, Vedānta Syamantaka, it deals with Mangalacharana, then it deals with the Pramana and Prameya. The book is divided basically into two sections only. One is Pramana and Prameya. What is Pramana and what is Prameya, we'll discuss in the next discussion. But basically, some common understanding we have. If I just ask what is Pramana, can somebody tell me? In English language also you can tell.
Evidence.
Yes, Prabhuji. Pramana means evidence, and prameya means
That which is understood by evidence.
yes, the evidence is used to prove something. So, what is that object which is to be proved? That is prameya. So, basically, this book is divided into two sections. One is pramana and one is prameya. The first shloka especially deals with pramana. First few shlokas deals with pramana. Which are the different pramanas people believe in? There are many pramanas. I may trust my friend. I may trust my WhatsApp message. I may trust my Facebook post. I may trust the Constitution of India. There are so many pramanas which will believe. Might trust my own father, my own son. So many people we believe in, so many entities. When I sit in a flight, I have faith in the driver. So the pilot, the airlines company is the pramana. Okay, such a company is there. That means I am safe. So there are so many pramanas which we believe in. So that science of pramanas will be discussed initially, and that pramana is used to prove some prameya. So basically, Bhagavad Gita talks of five prameyas, five things that are to be proved. They are first thing to be proved is Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. Next is Jiva, the living entity. And then Ishvara Jiva Prakriti. Prakriti is the third one. Kala and Karma. Kala is time and Karma is the actions that are performed. So these are the five prameyas. These are the five things that are to be proved. The book of Tarka Sangraha deals in detail about this prameyas, but then it doesn't give a Vaishnava understanding of it. There are some things where it gets messed up because the Vaishnava understanding is not there. So that is why even without the Tarka Sangraha also, with the proper understanding of Pramanas, Vaishnava Acharyas have given good understanding of how to derive these Prameyas. So they will be discussed as a subject matter of this book. Just a minute, I am trying to see if there is something else that has to be spoken. Okay, yeah. So I would like to discuss only this much today because once we get into Pramana, next section, next class will be about Pramana, what Pramana is, and how to define a Pramana, which are the different types of Pramanas. All those things will be in the next session. And once we begin it, we have to continue. That's why I would like to stop here. You can ask questions. If there are any doubts, we can discuss them.
Your class, that previous class is available on the internet, and also all these classes will be available on the internet.
Yes, Prabhuji. I am uploading it on a YouTube channel, and I will be sharing it in this group. I have kept it unlisted. Whoever has the link can share. You all also, if you want, you can share it to others also, no problem. But it's not, I've kept it unlisted, so no problem. I'll be sharing it in the group. Previous class I shared today. This also I will share.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other doubts, if you can ask?
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhuji, I was wanted to understand that you said when someone chants the name Hari, he has completed all the Vedas. But then we get a counter also that wherein Srila Prabhupada says we should not be like Sahajiyas and we should be studying. But then there's another counter comes up that you should have faith in the statements of Vedas. If it is says as cow dung is pure, then you should accept it as pure. So if someone says that by chanting Hari you would have learnt all the Vedas, and someone questions about faith, then how to exactly understand this statement? Are we talking about pure Hari name chanting, like you also explained, like when we study Vedanta sutras and try to get more deeper understanding, then we will have more faith in chanting the name of Hari.
So it's a very practical and good question, Prabhu. One thing is that when the Shastra says that when a person chants the name of Hari, he would have undergone the study of Vedas in past life, it's not an exaggeration. It's definitely, it would have happened. So there is absolutely no reason to doubt such a statement. Definitely, it would be there. At least if you would have chanted or you would have done it through somebody else. Something that punya has come somehow, that sukruti has come somehow to bring the name of Hari in your mouth, or the Guru would have blessed. Somehow it has come. But the point here is that at the same time, Atato Brahma Jignasa, whatever is there, now you have to do Jignasa. Jignasa doesn't mean that I will just have some sentimental affection to the Lord. Jignasa means I have to inquire what is the purpose of life, why I am here, how to perfect this. And this Jignasa, it is not just on the surface level. For example, what does the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita deal with? Second chapter of Bhagavad Gita deals with four things. One is surrender to the spiritual master. Next, body knowledge of the soul. What happens after you study after you understand knowledge of the soul, you become sthita prajna. And what happens after you become sthita prajna? You go back to God. These are the things that are discussed in second chapter, right? So, initiated devotee in ISKCON, this much he has learned, that first he has taken initiation. He knows that soul is there, body is not there, and that should take him to a place of state of Sutta Prajnatva, and then he will go back to Godhead. Now, do we need 16 more chapters? Yeah, but Arjuna doesn't stop there. Arjuna says, okay, Krishna, if back to Godhead is so easy, tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi Keshava, why are you engaging me in this ghastly war? That is where he brings the rest 18 chapters, where he says, rest 16 chapters, where he says, there is something called dharma, there is something called swadharma, then there is something called jnana, then the three modes are acting. Don't think you are independent, you are still under three modes, and the tree of Vedas is there to help you. So the whole thing, it's a big science that has to be discussed. So when we say I'm chanting Hari, I have performed I have studied Vedas in the past life. Has that freed me from all the what is that, the attachments? I chant the name of Hari definitely, but then am I still pure? Have I come out of all attachments? No, that we can self-evaluate. That we still have kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. We are stuck at different places. And when acharyas recommend, when Prabhupada says that no, person who doesn't study this philosophy is a sahajya, definitely that we can see in the past, that people who just took up to emotional bhakti, it is not bhakti should be jnana is a part of bhakti. Jnana means the knowledge of Brahma, absolute truth, supreme Lord, automatically follows bhakti. So if that is not following, then somewhere we are not taking the right bhakti. There is some emotion in it. So that's how we have to understand.
Prabhu, one more clarification regarding that. So, Prabhu, suppose if there's a devotee who is just, dedicated into chanting the holy name of Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra over a period of time, and if he is doing it properly, you mean to say that he would also be attracted to studying of, Vedantas and Sutras as well? Like that, you
See,
mean to say?
who is to judge that he is doing properly? If I have to judge him, I should be doing it properly. Correct. So, better to follow the system given by acharyas. Prabhupada always just read my books, read the books of philosophy, and be strong in Siddhanta. So, purve purvataram kritam, better follow the system of knowledge given by acharyas, and that way we will be safe. So if really chanting is affecting him positively, he is following the system given by, he is following the university syllabus. Krishna conscious movement has its own university syllabus. So he is following that syllabus. If the chanting is causing benefit to him.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Ojasvi Krishna Prabhu.
My question is regarding Shankaracharya
Yes.
and how he propagated, at least from what I have known, what I've read is he propagated the Mayavad philosophy all over India, which was prior to his preaching, you can say, the Buddhist philosophy had overtaken the Indian subcontinent. So how is it that his philosophy, which says that one can only learn Vedanta if one is a sannyasi, or one can only get liberation through Vedanta, and for that you have to become a sannyasi. So how does this benefit the masses? How is it that the masses accepted this school of thought?
What Shankaracharya did is, for a mass program, he brought them back to Vedas. Buddhist philosophy was completely against Vedas. We will study it further, how it is nicely refuted. But their understanding was no for Vedas at any cost, because we are not believing any such fixed source of reference. So that the consequence of that is adharma started spreading. One of the reasons why India was attacked by foreign invaders, since thousands of years India was secure, all of a sudden it started getting attacked by foreign invaders, was because of these atheistic ideas that Vedas have to be rejected. With the Vedas being rejected, dharma was rejected, Kshatriya Kula became weak, and that way there was no protection. So adharma came inside. So Shankaracharya brought faith in Vedas, and that way, that was the program for masses. And at the same time, the program for classes was, if you want to perfect your life, then sannyasa is the only way. So when Shankaracharya visited Mandan Mishra, that time the Mimamsakas would criticize Shankaracharya. Why they would criticize sannyasis? Because at that time sannyasis were Buddhists mostly. Because you are supposed to do your karma, you have to be in grahastha ashrama. And some people who have natural vairagya, there was no place to go to demonstrate that vairagya. So Buddhists were attracting such sannyasis, and they were taking them away from Vedas. That is why the most of the Sanatanis were very critical of sannyasis at that point of time, because these sannyasis are adharmis. They are leaving their duty and they are going towards a Vedic path. So that is why Mandan Mishra was critical of Shankaracharya also initially. So that is how he developed a two-class program. Yes, Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu, you have something to add to this?
No, so this, to summarize this book, will we find a similarity with Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha that gives the epistemology, the hierarchy of. So I'm just trying to understand, will there be overlap in terms of establishing Shastra Yonitvat principle? Or in your study, can you briefly tell us what to expect in this book in a very short?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, good question. This book initially it gives extreme clarity on Pramana Jnana, what Pramana to accept when. That is the first thing. And second thing is, it establishes about the Apaurishyatva of the Vedas. And third thing, it has established the Ishwaratva of Ishwara. So all these things are covered in the Tattva Sandarbha. So it makes the understanding of Tattva Sandarbha very easy. It's not an overlap, because these are some building blocks. Once we learn the basic plus and minus, then the difficult, like if you learn multiplication, then when you are given simple interest or compound interest, then because you already knew multiplication, it became easy. So similarly, this book is going to make the study of Tattva Sandarbha more easy.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions?
Yes, Prabhu. This is in continuation with my previous question. I didn't quite understand what you mean to say. My question was about how did the masses accept?
Masses accepted because he presented Vedas, and that's what people want. That people want that Vedas will fulfill their desires. So he began the puja of Panchayat, the 5 deities, and then follow the Vedic rituals for that. So because he pushed for that, and it was not Shankaracharya alone he did. We had many disciples like Padmapada, Sureshwara, and they all gave different interpretations to his philosophy, and through all of them the masses were able to accept this thing, because ultimately Vedas are going to give even material happiness also to people. When you are bereft of Vedas, you will be bereft of material happiness.
Okay. Okay. So let's just say women and Shudras, they are not meant to take sannyas, so they'll never learn Vedanta. So
They
does
have
that
to take
mean
another life. That is
another life? Okay,
understand.
multiple birth. Okay, ठीक है. Thank you.
Prabhu, I have one question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, this is I'm just trying to analyze in my head whatever I've heard. You just correct me what if I'm thinking in right direction. This what we are seeing currently in our current ISKCON scenario or whatever devotee circle we are in. So we see similar conditions. What you were just talking about Sankaracharya and Buddhist time, that Vedas were rejected. Here also we see the end of the day, Prabhupada has given us, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us conclusion of all the Vedas. But the other part of the Vedas, which are helping us, supporting us to take towards Krishna, definitely our Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada books are enough, but there are other points which are in our day-to-day life is required. If we are not in the devotee circle, sometime we are living somewhere outside, then how do we address this it's a very complicated scene, you know. Have you understood my point?
If you can elaborate a little bit.
This it seems to me like that Vedas is getting rejected in current scenario in the name of devotional service. Apparently, I mean, definitely devotees
Yes, I
are
got your
following.
point. We will be discussing this in more detail when I come to Shabda Pramana. But in short, the understanding is Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjana. So this shloka is primarily quoted that Vedas deal with three modes, so you reject them. So that is not what Prabhupada's stand was. Prabhupada used the example of cow dung, and he used the example of conch to say that when Vedas are spoken something, it is true. They should be accepted as primary pramana. This he says in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. And even the introduction to Upanishad also, Prabhupada says this. And if you see his writings, Bhakti Vedanta purports, they are rich with Kata Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, and Ishopanishad. These rich with all the Shruti quotes, the statements from Shruti that we can see. So now how to do the analysis of that, how to give priority to which statements, that we will discuss further. That is when you will get more clarity.
I think we are running a little bit late.
Yes, Prabhu.
I just wanted to add to Srinidhi Prabhu's question, and you already answered. But I think his question is very valid, and I would love to hear from your further classes, because this is exactly what today within ISKCON we are facing this from the Ritvik challenge that clearly says that Prabhupada violated Shastras because he is a pure devotee, and whatever you say, we don't have to see Shastra, just accept what Prabhupada says. And Ritvik is only one flavor of this, or one side of this coin of rejecting Vedas. There are other sides to this coins. So again, without going into detail, I would love to hear more answers from this Syamantaka book that can emphasize the need and understand what Prabhupada has actually said and emphasized in his books. Just a comment.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you for that. Actually, the Pramana Shastra, next couple of sessions, which we'll be doing next Friday and Saturday, not this one, the next one after Janmashtami, that will cover these things, and we should be ready for a shocker at there.
Okay.
It may, what is Pramana Shastra and who should be accepted as Pramana? some of our avadharanas, previous understandings may be erased with that. Yes, Prabhuji. So, unless there is any other thing, questions for today? Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji, for reminding about that. So, today's topic, there is a simple question. Please describe the Mangalacharana for 5 marks. So, the point is the necessity of Mangalacharana, and then the sadhana chatushtaya that is discussed here, and the 2 interpretations of Mangalacharana. So these are the points that can be included in the answer. So this is the only question for today.
Again, I would love to have these questions documented somewhere, because I don't necessarily come back to those questions now, looking at my laziness. So I don't want to miss these questions.
Yes,
It's an important one that you're making us study, and but I'm a rogue student. Sorry to say that, but I definitely want to hear the questions. So please.
Yesterday also there was a message that questions, definitely it can be done, but can some devotee volunteer to note down these and share in the group? That will be helpful. Will one of you be able to do it?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll share it on the group.
Yes, thank you, Jasvi Krishna.
At least, if we document the question, I'll come back to my homework a little later.
Yes. And you all have to write exam at the end. Attendance also carries marks.
That's why we need to know the questions.
Attendance also carries marks.
Prabhu, I'm just, these questions I'll consider as an assignment.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhus, for today's session, and wish you a happy Krishna Janmashtami, Prabhupada Avirbhav Mahotsav. We are going to celebrate the appearance day of Bhakti Vedānta, whom we discuss about, who himself described what is Bhakti and Vedanta today. So, I wish you a happy festival, and post festival we will be meeting the subsequent week. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyayavcha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo ananta koti vaishnav vrinda ki jai.
Yeah.